legal process goes, multiple people can submit maps to the judge. So let's just talk about timeline before we talk about how these maps look. But so the public comment period, the 10 days of public comment will be September 25th to October 5th. And so you can submit feedback at redistricting.utah.gov on those. Right now, we're talking about legislative meetings, and you can comment there as well. But on October 6th, then, the day after the public comment period closes, the Utah legislature is going to have a special session, and they're going to vote on whether they're going to take the one map that this committee proposes, on whether that's what they submit to the judge.
This is a weird question, but is that the only thing they're taking up in the special session? Because I thought they were doing one anyway.
Probably.
I know we're talking about maps, but
right, probably not, because they delayed the September special session, and so my guess is they're going to deal with more than one topic. It could be that the governor who calls the special session says we're only going to deal with redistricting this time.
Okay, so that's a pretty fast track, because you're talking about September 25th. I mean,
which is Thursday.
That's 3 days from now.
Yeah, that's right.
They're meeting today. They're meeting again Wednesday, and then
on Thursday they will release the map that they have chosen. So what's interesting is that they've already released 5 maps, and I think if you look at the maps, you can find them. There are multiple places online, but you can see PDFs of them. But you can also go to a website. It's a little bit long. Hopefully we can put it on our website, but it's citygate.utleg.gov, and then you can see redistricting maps. So those redistricting maps, if you look at them and how they differ, which was what your original question.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. They're sort of the pizza maps and the donut maps.
So you have 3 pizza maps where you're trying to take an basically equal slice, right, out of Salt Lake County, a little bit more. And then you have 2 donut hole maps, which is basically you're really concentrating in Salt Lake County. So those are maps labeled D and E. And if you look at like the map they call Map D. So District 1 starts up in the corner up by Tremonton, up by the border of Idaho, and then follows that little cutout section kind of down, all the way down to Kanab. So it goes all the way down the east side of the state. But then you have District 3 is basically Salt Lake County, although it has to be cut up because you can't have the whole thing. And then you have District 4, basically Utah County and some of Salt Lake County. And then you have District 2 is a huge chunk off the west side. So that's one of the donut hole maps where you've really got it concentrated where along the Wasatch Front for 2 congressional districts, and then you have 2 really big rural districts.
So unlike the current map, which the legislature enacted several years ago, which divides Salt Lake County 4 ways, none of the 5 maps divide Salt Lake County more than 2 ways. I mean, Salt Lake
looks that way,
Salt Lake's
right?
divided. Salt Lake's divided in half in I think all the maps. It's kind of in maps A, B, and C. It's divided along almost like a north-south corridor, and in the other 2 that you're talking about, it's almost
horizontal.
East-west corridor, and then the other ones it's horizontal north and south, kind of.
Yeah, like the other map that has a donut hole that has some of Salt Lake and Utah counties in it. It has a really big southern component, so it basically starts from, it looks like maybe San Pete County, but goes all the way down, just takes the entire bottom, almost 2/3 of the state in 1 congressional district. And then the 1st congressional would be the Ogden area down over towards like the Vernal area, and then the 4th would be like the Tooele area.
Now, when I look at these maps, Holly, at first blush, I look at all 5 of them and think they are much more in line with the Redistricting Commission's statement and their goals than the current map. And I think that the judge and the legislature could probably live with almost all these. I don't know, and I'm not speaking for the judge, but it just occurs to me looking at those that they're much more fairly drawn. Fair is not the right word, but in terms
drawn
of
according to Prop 4.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that the people of Utah voted on. Yeah, we'll see what comes out of this. I know that I've seen also at least one member of the committee over the weekend remind people that they're pursuing legal options. So there's still a lawsuit on the overall ability for a commission to even weigh in. But for now, Judge Gibson has said, you've got to redraw the maps. The Supreme Court has said, you've got to redraw the maps. And we're not going to put a stay. We're not going to let you pull pause on this. And so they have to have all of these done by November 10th. So
we did jump ahead because you're right. there is still legal
There's
action
pending legal
right.
action.
And it's an appeal of the judge's ruling, because the only thing that was appealed was the stay, was the issue of whether or not her ruling that the legislative maps were unconstitutional and that Prop 4 stood. It was the legislature asked that be stayed until 2028, and the Supreme Court denied that. But they're still arguing that what she did was inappropriate.
Right.
But
so
that's for another day. That's going to take months to get sorted out.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. We could redistrict, I don't know, a couple of times, but so I don't know that will be the case. But anyway, the way this will happen, it looks to me like there will be new maps for the 2026 election cycle. So it has to be, the final maps have to go all the way through the legal process with the judge weighing in on whether the Utah legislature did submit a map that meets the criteria set out in Proposition 4. And if it does, then that's the map that will move forward. And then the Lieutenant Governor's office by November 10th will have that final decision. And then from there, that decision will ripple out to all the county clerks, to all potential candidates, to people who might be redrawing delegate lines, et cetera, so that they have all that information.
And under any circumstance, I believe that all 4 of our congressional representatives will have slightly different populations.
I think that's for sure.
And so they'll be looking at, well, I've had this place in Davis County. I don't have that anymore.
Right.
I've been down to Kanab. I don't need to do that anymore.
That's right.
And the voters will know who they're voting for. They'll know.
Well, I hope that's the case,
their
right?
representative will be. And I think that our Lieutenant Governor, like you said, gave us until November 10th to get things together, because even though that's a year prior to balloting, it's not a year prior to the time that these.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to announce that you're going to run for re-election
in January,
and you've got to know where your district is.
Yeah.
And the county clerks have a right to know what they're doing when they start drawing up
their
ballots.
That's right. So January seems not far away at all, and that's when candidates have to file. So that's one of the reasons it has to be done by November 10th, so that candidates can say, okay, I really do stand a chance, or no, I don't stand a chance, or whatever.
With the legislature meeting today at 9 o'clock, they've been in session
still
for a
going,
while.
yeah.
If we do have information about that session before our show ends at noon, we'll bring that to you.
Sure.
When we come back after the break, President Trump plans to speak to the country about autism today, and he's reportedly pointing the finger at a common over-the-counter drug. We'll discuss more about that after the break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. It's happening right now. Lawmakers are at the state capitol going over the newly proposed congressional boundary maps. A judge ruled they had to create new maps because lawmakers didn't follow a proposition passed by voters. The legislature has 3 days to get the maps ready for public comment. A judge will decide whether or not those maps are approved and implemented. Other local story, a woman will serve prison time after she was convicted of taking part in a shooting death back in 2021 in Ogden. Police say Nikki K. Holder worked with Jonathan Brewer to lure her ex-boyfriend to an apartment. When the ex-boyfriend showed up, he was shot and killed. Holder was sentenced to 5 years in prison for conspiracy to commit aggravated assault. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Trump administration says the sale of TikTok to U.S. investors is nearly a done deal.
The president today telling Fox News a group of tech and media giants, including Larry Ellison and Lachlan Murdoch, will be involved in taking over TikTok's algorithm. It comes as Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told Fox News that a deal between the U.S. and China will include Americans holding 6 of the 7 seats on a new board overseeing TikTok's U.S. operation.
ABC's Christian Cordero reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow continues its record rise up to 46,344. That's 29 points since opening bell. Coming up, showers are moving out. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
When your name's on the paint job, your primer better hold up.
Painters trust Kills primers for serious adhesion, stain blocking, and a finish that lasts. Now, the full Kills lineup is available exclusively at the Home Depot. Need it fast? Get same-day or next-day delivery, or order online and pick it up in-store. Kills primers. Pro results. Faster. The Home Depot. If you're a pro, you know.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next-day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At BMW of Pleasant Grove, we believe that driving should be more than just a commute. It should be an experience. Feel the perfect fusion of performance, technology, and luxury with our stunning lineup of new and certified pre-owned BMWs. From the exhilarating drive of a 3 or 5 Series to the spacious elegance of an X7, experience a transparent and effortless car buying experience. Visit us at bmwofpg.com. BMW of Pleasant Grove. The ultimate driving machine is closer than you think.
Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Shop with any Mountain America credit or debit card for a chance to win a $5,000 vacation voucher. Simply tap, insert, swipe, or click to be entered to win now until October 31st. Use any card, win any trip from Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/anycard for official rules or to apply. Loans on approved credit. Membership required based on eligibility. Insured by NCUA. Limited time offer. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, looks like we're finally delay-free across the Wasatch Front, especially on I-15. No issues right now throughout Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, or Weber counties. The earlier crash we had in Wasatch County on US 40, that is completely cleared near Heber City, and all those delays have cleared out. So now the only thing you really have to contend with are the orange construction barrels that you'll find on almost every major roadway. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com, affordable windows guaranteed. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL Weather Center says this morning's showers will be gone this afternoon. We should see a high around 73 degrees, 74 tomorrow, and up to 80 in sunshine on Wednesday. Right now, it is 63 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
At the vigil yesterday in Arizona for Charlie Kirk, President Trump teased an announcement that he plans to give today regarding autism. And what he intends to do, what we're hearing is that he's going to talk about one medication that may be linked to autism and another one that can treat it. Many health experts are already sounding the alarm, saying there's a lack of evidence to support these claims. ABC's Allison Kosick has more.
President Trump today is expected to announce his administration has, quote, found an answer to autism. He spoke about the disorder overnight while returning to the White House.
Now it's 1 in 12. Actually, boys are 1 in 12 and 1 in 10. I mean, can you imagine? So there's obviously something artificial that's really wrong. And we think we know what that is.
The Washington Post reports the administration is planning to link autism to the use of Tylenol in pregnancy and is expected to claim that the FDA-approved cancer drug leucovorin is a possible treatment for autism. Both claims raising concern among many doctors.
It's extremely dangerous to raise fear and alarm in pregnant women. Why add to the misery and the fear-mongering, when it is based on very limited evidence?
No studies have proven that use of Tylenol, known as acetaminophen, by pregnant women is a cause for autism. Some limited evidence suggests it's associated with higher rates of neurological issues, but those studies have been mixed. The maker of Tylenol saying, "We believe independent, sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. We strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise." Scientists who've been studying autism for decades warn the administration's timeline examining this has been too short to come up with a single cause.
I'm very concerned that women who experience fevers will elect not to treat that fever because we know the fever is associated with poor child outcomes.
Doctors and autism researchers point to figures showing rates of Tylenol use during pregnancy have declined in recent years, even as rates of autism have increased. As for the possible use of leucovorin as an autism treatment, many doctors again voicing skepticism.
We need to do large-scale randomized trials before we can say with any certainty that this is a treatment that autistic children should receive.
Doctors say the reason they recommend Tylenol in pregnancy is that it is known to be a safer medication than Advil, Motrin, or aspirin because it's not associated with bleeding and when used appropriately can lower the risk of fever-induced risks with pregnancy.
But that's got to be very concerning. And it's unfortunate a little bit that they use the brand name Tylenol because they're really talking about the drug that makes up Tylenol, which is acetaminophen. Right. And it's obviously that's the drug that's used in Tylenol and others. But acetaminophen
it can be
is what
generic.
they're talking
yeah,
about.
It's
right.
acetaminophen. But look, I have some things to say.
Sure.
You say sure. So one of them is, as a mom of kids with disabilities, why are we blaming mothers now? Right? It is hard enough to be a parent of a child with disabilities, and especially to wonder if there was something that you did that caused that child to have disabilities. And now we're saying, without scientific evidence, that we think it's Tylenol. We think that it's taking over-the-counter medication caused your child to have autism. Another thing I have to say.
That's interesting. No, I appreciate that. Before you go on, I hadn't thought about that, and I feel naive, and I appreciate that because you can always look back and say, well, using meth while you're pregnant can cause
it's bad.
problems.
Yeah.
You know, drinking alcohol to excess while you're pregnant or even at all
right.
can cause problems. But now looking at something like this and saying, well, so a woman who has a child who's on the spectrum can look back and say, well, did I take Tylenol? And if so,
and maybe I did because maybe I had a headache.
Can I contribute to this problem?
Yeah.
When medically doctors were saying that's a sound thing to do because they said,
right.
Motrin and aspirin may cause bleeding.
Right. And Motrin is a brand name for the generic ibuprofen. Right. So acetaminophen has been recommended more than ibuprofen because of the risk of bleeding during pregnancy. It doesn't happen often, but there's an increased risk of miscarriage. And then if you take ibuprofen close enough to the delivery, you could hemorrhage after you have the baby. Right. So anyway, so that's one of the things. We're placing blame where blame does not belong, I do not believe. The other thing is autism as a separate diagnosis came about in 1911, so it's been more than 100 years. But acetaminophen, brand name Tylenol, has only been around since 1955. So you heard in the sound clip, uses of Tylenol during pregnancy have been dropping recently anyway, while diagnosis of autism has been rising. So I think we're conflating things. Yes, we want a reason. Yes, there's no question researchers want to try and find a reason. If there is a reason we can put a finger on.
Right. And there's a study that's a part of this that indicates as follows, that in the year 2000, among 8-year-olds, 1 in 150 were diagnosed with autism. I may not have the right language here, but in today, that number is 1 in 31. So it's almost a 5-time increase in the incident of autism. And I suppose part of that is testing and sort of awareness that we're recognizing it or attributing certain characteristics to that we maybe didn't in the past.
Yeah, sometimes, right. And I know that when you have a spectrum, if the original diagnoses were more on the severe side of the spectrum, sometimes you might have missed some of the ones that were, less noticeable or less severe. So look, I'll just say this as well. The Rocky Mountain area has a higher rate than the rest of the country also. So researchers are trying to figure out, does that have something to do with altitude? Does it have something to do with air pollution? Does it have something to do with, we just don't know. And I've heard Everything from it's related to epidurals that moms have while they're in labor to now we're hearing it's related to Tylenol to it's related to Pitocin if you were induced with having labor. All of those things have not been proven out.
Right, and even with less proof, they're talking about this drug leucovorin, which apparently improves kids on the spectrum and others. I mean, that reminds me a little bit of hydroxychloroquine during the COVID, which has been almost completely debunked, but is still mentioned by some people as a cure for COVID.
So RFK Jr. believes in leucovorin, leucovorin with a V, and it is a folate supplement. So it is used to help mitigate some of the consequences of cancer treatment. And there has been some anecdotal, not data-driven, anecdotal stories that it could help kids. Also to know, he has a compelling financial interest, according to multiple news sites, in this supplement, leucovorin.
Which stock just went through the roof.
As
opposed to Tylenol. And you have to wonder about that company thinking, wait a minute, you are doing something that is going to hurt us horribly. I mean, I don't care, even if the evidence ultimately is debunked, if you are a doctor right now or you're a couple having a baby and you're thinking, hey, I need to take some medication, you're going to be very, very shy about taking Tylenol.
Or what if you already have a child and they're diagnosed and you now go sue Tylenol because you took it during your pregnancy?
Because you think that they were the cause.
So
right?
As an attorney, can they do that? Will that be a natural consequence to this?
You know, it'd be a weak case right now without more proof. But yeah, you could sue. You could definitely bring that and say, hey, based on the evidence we have now, you may have caused the problem here because you didn't test appropriately. I mean,
so can Tylenol sue for, I don't know, whatever the business equivalent of defamation is?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, but of course there's governmental immunity. It's hard to sue the government when you have something like that. Okay. But yeah, the whole thing, we should just back off. Let's wait till the studies come out, and let's wait until there's more evidence. But if the evidence does support what we're hearing, which again, we're a little ways away from really substantial evidence, the Tylenol could have some issues, especially, well, maybe if they had reason to know that their drug had contributed to the incidence of autism. And I doubt very seriously that they did.
I think one of the problems we have is a lack of belief in peer-reviewed scientific studies right now, right? That you just dismiss them and then you get somebody else to say what you want them to say. And then so now it becomes, who does the public believe? Right? Because you have a whole bunch of doctors saying it's not been proven, but you also have some that are saying, well, look, I think it is.
Including our own Health and Human Services Director.
Correct.
So, yeah, the public's not sure who to believe, but that information will be sorted out by the scientific community eventually, I hope. When we come back after the break, Trump's Pentagon has said the press must agree not to disclose sensitive information or they will lose their ability to report and have access to the Pentagon. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by @YourServicePros.
It's been a long, hot summer here in Utah, and let's be honest, many yards and gardens are looking a little tired. But good news, as the nights start to cool, now is the perfect time to revive your yard. Yes, it's time to get our outdoor spaces ready for back to school and all your favorite fall activities. At Olson's Greenhouse, we're bringing in fresh shipments every week of vibrant garden mums and beautiful fall bedding plants to help you refresh your outdoor spaces. Cooler nights and warm soil create the ideal conditions for planting, and your perennials will thank you next spring. So whether you're sprucing up the porch, replanting your flower beds, or decorating for harvest season, Olson's Greenhouse has everything you need to make your garden thrive again. To find a retailer of Olson's plants near you, visit OGG.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens. That's OGG.com, or find ideas and inspiration on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
At Peach Windows and Doors, they help homeowners stay in the homes they love while upgrading to the elegance, efficiency, and natural light of today. With hundreds of 5-star Google reviews, their clients know Peach Windows and Doors deliver what they promise.
I wanted to replace standard-size French doors with a large custom sliding door. The update required checking a weight-bearing wall. Plus, I wanted a couple of different styles of windows. The new sliding door created a much brighter and open look. Peach was so helpful along the way with recommendations and ideas, and the installers were efficient and respectful of my space. I was thrilled with Peach Windows and Doors.
Give your $1 million home the $1 million feel it deserves. Don't wait on that someday project. Visit Peach Windows and Doors Salt Lake Showroom. Schedule a free in-home visit. You can also explore at peachwindowsanddoors.com or just call them at 801-566-1255. Peach Windows and Doors, where amazing home transformations begin.
Hey, want to hear something great? Right now at Wendy's, you can get 2 of the #1 selling bacon cheeseburger in all fast food, the JBC, plus medium fries and a medium soft drink for just $8. Want to hear something else great? Double the burger means double the bacon. Now that's a game changer. 2 of the #1 bacon cheeseburgers with fries and a drink for just $8. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Request $8 JBC meal deal to obtain discount. Individual items at regular price.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV, RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning?
RV wins!
Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping?
RV wins!
Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast?
RV wins! Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
President Trump is initiating a new policy imposing new restrictions on media coverage of the U.S. military, requiring news organizations to agree that they will not disclose information that the government has not approved for release. In a memo on Friday, the Department of Defense said journalists who publish unauthorized sensitive material could have their press credentials revoked. Media advocates say the restrictions could stifle independent reporting. ABC senior correspondent Rachel Scott reports the administration is also hinting it will go after the media.
The president has also said press coverage that is critical of his administration should be illegal. It comes as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has now unveiled new restrictions for press at the Pentagon, forcing reporters to either pledge that they will not gather or use any information that has not been formally authorized for release or risk losing their credential to cover the military. This move is unprecedented. The National Press Club calling the policy a direct assault on independent journalism.
Wow.
I mean, can he do that?
Well, I mean, can he? Yes. Is it proper? I don't know. He's requiring that news organizations acknowledge that, in other words, they have to sign an agreement
that they only publish what Hegseth signs off on.
And it's not so much that they can't publish sensitive material. What they're saying is they can't publish any material without prior authorization, even if it is not, even if it's unclassified. Right.
To me, look, that just smacks of censorship coming from the government, and I feel like it's not okay.
Right. And there is the notion in the First Amendment, what we call prior restraint, where it has long been held that the government can't prohibit speech before it happens. You can't restrict speech before it happens. So this is real, because if you think about, for example, because I think some people may be confused by what I just said. If you look at what the FCC has done to Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel, that's speech that occurred. Right. They're saying in reaction to something you said, there's going to be a consequence.
Yeah.
But now they're saying to the media, prospectively, don't publish anything about the Department of Defense without getting our permission first.
And sign here that you won't before we even talk, right? Before there's even a story.
And the remedy is always part of the equation too. So in the example of Colbert and Kimmel, the remedy was the FCC said you get rid of these people or we'll restrict your license. We'll talk about that in a minute. So of course ABC and the other network, Disney said see you later, goodbye. Colbert and Kimmel are gone, rather than fight with the FCC. In this situation, what they're saying is if you violate this, you will have your press credentials revoked. You will not be able to get access to the Pentagon, which means if you want to do Department of Defense inquiries or media, you're not going to have much access to information.
You mean Department of War?
Right, yeah. And that was another thing. It is the Department of Defense until Congress says otherwise. But the memo came out from the Department of War, which doesn't exist.
Well, and I've seen legally. Mr. Hegseth refer to himself as the Secretary of War.
Right.
So, look, I'm really concerned about what feels like an escalation in restraining freedom of the press, but also freedom of speech. I really am concerned, and I know that there are people who are speaking up. You know, one of the things that I found at least semi amusing is that Senator Ted Cruz, who's a very, very strong right Republican, went after the decision to fire Kimmel by saying, basically, you guys are being dumb. I'm paraphrasing what he said. You guys are being dumb. This is not a smart move. This will turn around and haunt you when the Democrats win and they have power again. What are you thinking?
Right, and Republican Representative Don Bacon of Nebraska, who is a U.S. Air Force veteran and member of the Armed Services Commission, said, "A free press makes our country better." This sounds like amateur hour. I mean, so there are starting to be a few chinks in the armor even within the Republicans. Obviously, the Democrats are going to be lined up against this, both of these events, both what's happening with the FCC and secondarily what's happening with the Department of Defense. But there are now some Republicans, including prominent, Ted Cruz.
Yeah, Ted Cruz. I mean, he may want to run for president. I think he wanted to before.
Right.
It's just interesting. It's more than interesting. It's deeply concerning. I also saw some stories about the FCC pulling broadcast licenses, and this was something teased by President Trump, saying basically maybe they can go after The View, right? Because he doesn't like that show either. So what would happen if the FCC pulled a broadcast license? What does that mean?
Oh, you're shut down. You're done. I mean, and that's what
doesn't that seem problematic?
That's what the FCC director said on the ABC matter when they were considering Jimmy Kimmel's comments, and he was, I don't know, what he said did sort of cross the line a little bit, whether or not they should shut it down. But he said we can do this the easy way or the hard way, clearly meaning you either fire the guy or we'll pull your license. You pull your license, you don't have a license to air,
which means you can't broadcast anywhere.
Right? Yes. In the United States. I mean, your license is gone. It's like you have a bar and they pull your liquor license. You can't sell liquor anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, what happens to KSL?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'd be a real problem. So, I mean,
it just seems like that's huge, right? That's a huge threat.
Right. And the problem is nobody wants to challenge it. Nobody wants to take It's like Harvard when they finally said, okay, we've had enough, we're challenging it. They spent a boatload. They lost all kinds of money. They ultimately won.
Yeah.
And maybe these networks would win. Maybe had they kept Colbert or Kimmel and fought this, they could have won. But they took the cheaper route, just as some schools have and some law firms have when they've been brought to the fore and said, look, we'll pay the ransom. Let's move on with this, or we'll fire these hosts, or we'll comply with your requirements for the Department of Defense. But restrictions on the First Amendment, I mean, it's the First Amendment for a reason. It's the one we hold probably more precious than anything else.
I think if press, and now we're part of the media, right? But I think if they don't have the ability to publish stories, then we just have a propaganda arm, right? If they can't independently publish stories, then we just have government propaganda, which is basically the government feeding us what they want us to hear.
And if you're one of these late night talk show comedians, what do you do? When you're preparing your show tonight? Do you just talk about
the weather,
something else that's funny, football or Taylor Swift or whatever?
Right.
I mean, do you even talk about the administration?
No, some people would say Taylor Swift is not a joking matter.
Right. Yes. But I mean, is there something else you can?
No, I know. I know, and it really, I think it has a chilling effect, which means people just won't want to talk about it. I don't know if that happens with the comedians, but I have seen several people commenting. One of them, a comedian, now I can't remember which one it was, but saying, look, comedians are kind of the canaries in the coal mine. And if you can't poke fun at leadership as a comedian, even if people don't find your humor funny, but if you can't do that, if you can't roast people, right, and that's, I think, poking fun in not very nice ways, then we have a problem, right? When you shut down people's ability to poke fun at other people. Again, I'm not somebody who appreciates that kind of humor, really, but I understand the point, right? And it makes me think of the court jester back in the day. They would be able to tell truth with some humor, but if you crossed a line, you lost your head, literally.
And a year ago, if you were watching these same shows,
yeah,
you would be hearing political jokes about Biden,
all
about
the time.
Kamala Harris.
Yep.
You'd be hearing things about whatever his policies,
being old,
whatever, he was stumbling around. I mean, and it was yuck, and it's just something you took. It's something we took in the prior Trump administration. Obama certainly suffered his share. Clinton, over the top, some of the stuff that he had to endure, deservedly so. But that's just what the media does. That's what comedians do, and that's what the freedom of press is all about. And I think some people are understandably very nervous about where we're going with that. But who wants to challenge it? And what do you suffer if you do?
Yeah, we've had a texter say, well, press should be, if they outright lie, then there should be consequences. And somebody else said, isn't that like communism to control speak?
Yeah, I think both of those are true.
Valid.
I mean, yeah, if the press lies or makes misrepresentations, there should be some consequences to that. Remember the movie Absence of Malice. As long as you're quoting from a source or you feel like you've got something.
Right.
Anyway, I don't want to get into that. But this is a step in a direction. Of course, we're in the media, so we're biased a little bit, but in a wrong direction, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Representative Celeste Malloy was in Arizona attending the 5-hour memorial service for Charlie Kirk, and we're going to hear more about her experience when she joins the show next.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour: Utah has confirmed its 34th case of the measles. The latest is in Cache County. The Bear River Health Department says the patient was not vaccinated, and the health department is working to contact anyone who may have been exposed. Ogden is getting some more affordable housing, and builders say this is just the start. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
A new building named 25th and Quincy features apartments with 1 or 2 bedrooms, and it's only open for people who make 60% or below of the area median income. There are 176 units available, and the building is close to a bus rapid transit line and just a mile from Ogden's downtown. Building Salt Lake reports there are several other buildings planned just down the street from the Quincy building that will add another 350 apartments.
The project will also have space for offices and stores. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Ever tried to cancel your Amazon Prime membership? The FTC says it's too difficult.
Federal regulators say Amazon tricked people into signing up for Prime without their knowledge or consent and then created a labyrinth of web pages to make it hard to cancel. The FTC is seeking refunds to consumers and a court order prohibiting Amazon from using subscription practices that could confuse or deceive customers.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 34 points. It's less than 0.1% to 46,350. Coming up, KSL weather, sunshine ahead. We'll check that next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Do you recognize this piece? It's Orff's Carmina Burana. How about this? That's Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini. Hear more iconic works from the greats of classical music when you join your Utah Symphony for a Masterworks performance at Abravanel Hall. Tickets start at $26, all fees included. Get yours today at utahsymphony.org/classics.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
Ticket packages for the Utah Mammoth 2025-26 season are available now. From full season and half season packages to mini plans and other flexible options, choose the ticket package that fits you best and be part of the action all season long. Call or text 801-325-PUCK to talk with a rep or visit nhl.com/Utah/tickets/season tickets to learn more.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Because when you talk, they hear you.
Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got some rain up in Weber County, and it just sort of blanketed a lot of the roadways around the Ogden area. I-15 is pretty slow now in both directions between the I-84 split all the way up to about Marriott-Slaterville. So it looks like it's a very narrow band of rain moving across the county there. No delays anywhere else that I can see on the I-15 corridor in Davis, Salt Lake, Utah counties. You've got good speeds on the east and west side belt routes around the Salt Lake Valley, as well as coming out of Tooele County on the 201 freeway. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we're looking at a few more rain showers passing through northern Utah right now, as you just heard in the traffic update, but they should be cleared out by this afternoon, and we'll reach a high of 73 degrees. We get sunshine for the next several days, with highs getting back to the 80s by Wednesday. Right now it's 66 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Yesterday, there was a 5-hour service in Arizona which attracted tens of thousands of people to State Farm Stadium near Phoenix for the vigil over Charlie Kirk, and mourning the loss of her husband, Charlie Kirk. Erica Kirk fought back tears, drew applause, and found comfort in speaking about her husband's work. This is ABC's Charlie Kirk.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
So that was a super powerful moment about Charlie Kirk from ABC. And we have Representative Celeste Malloy on the line with us. Thank you for joining us, Representative. So glad you could make it.
Thank you.
So overall, we just wanted to ask, what did it feel like when you were there, and what was the main message that you took away from this memorial?
There were a lot of people who spoke, so several different messages, but the common thread running through all of them seemed to be, that Charlie Kirk spent his life as a young adult trying to get young adults to engage in politics, and that we need that to continue. They talked a lot about, his commitment to God, family, and country, and how we need more of that. We need more young people talking to each other about that, and I thought it was really inspiring.
Representative Malloy, do you feel as a member of Congress different now than you did a couple of weeks ago in terms of your own safety and those of your other fellow representatives?
No, I mean, we all know that in a world with a lot of different kinds of people, you're always taking a risk when you're out in public. And so I'm still doing public events. I'm still meeting with people. I don't ever want my constituents to feel like I think they are a threat to me. But it is a sobering reality check for everybody. And especially because it happened here in Utah, that you just never know what's going to happen. And it is really smart to be aware of your surroundings and, take whatever steps you can to keep yourself safe. And then at the end of the day, there are some things you just can't plan for and you can't protect against. And you still have to live your life.
We've seen several news articles talking about how Capitol Hill in D.C., how people there are, it seems like at least some of them are feeling more worried. But are you thinking, or are you feeling that is maybe a minority of people who are more worried?
I don't know if it's a minority or not. I would guess it probably is, but some of the people who are talking to the media about it right now have been concerned for a long time. Utah's a pretty civil state. I don't get a lot of death threats. Some of my colleagues get a lot of death threats. And so they've been concerned for a while, and this has created an opportunity to talk about it. And I do think for people who have credible threats, they need heightened security. But what I would hate to see is some knee-jerk reaction that creates a barrier between our representatives and the people we represent.
Representative, as you travel around the state of Utah in the future, what will be your message to Utahns with respect to the rhetoric that's going on in the country right now, good and bad? I mean, what would you tell people who, we talked earlier about a poll where people feel a little more threatened and a little more nervous and more concerned about their safety and those of others as they travel around and participate in political events?
I think it's normal to feel nervous after something like this happens, but I have been consistent in my messaging the last 12 days that especially for teenagers and young adults, don't use this as an excuse to shrink away from political involvement or involvement in your community. Be smart, be aware of your surroundings, but get involved, step up, lean in. We need young people to be participating. I think isolation is not our friend. And I think opting out of tough conversations is also not going to serve any of us well in the long run. And we need the next generation to be prepared to take over. And so they've got to be involved. They've got to be there, having the hard conversations, learning the skills that are required to be able to run our cities and our towns and our school boards and our nation.
One of the things that we've talked about on our show since Charlie Kirk's assassination was his alleged shooter, who is facing aggravated murder charges, and his apparently heavy involvement in some gaming culture. Are you concerned about that on a deeper level now that has happened, or has that been a concern you've been worried about for a while?
I wouldn't want to say that I'm concerned about gaming culture. I don't know enough about it to know if I'm concerned, but I am concerned and have been for a while about people being isolated and living mostly in an online world more than interacting with people. And you both know this, you're public figures. As an elected official, I've been on the receiving end of this. People will say and do things online that they would never say and do in person. And it's really easy to feel contempt for somebody you only interact with online. It's harder to feel contempt for real people who have real people problems. And so I'm concerned about anyone who spends a lot of time online in sort of a virtual world where they're not having to learn to solve problems and negotiate realities with real people.
Celeste, you're an attorney, and I think you worked for the Washington County Attorney's Office at some time. I don't recall if you were a prosecutor there, but I know that you worked in the office. And I'm going to ask a question that I don't know if I'm going to articulate it very well, but at some point when we look at, for example, what we're talking about here, the shooting of Charlie Kirk, the killer is, whether or not he's of one persuasion or another, it just seems to me, and I don't know, maybe you agree, that the criminal justice system has a place, and we can deal with these situations as a criminal matter instead of a political matter. Is there anything that, I don't know, am I making any sense at all?
You're making sense, but I don't know what the question is.
Yeah, I know. Do you agree with me, I guess? Is there a point when we maybe don't point fingers and say this is the result of radicalization from
ideology.
one party or another, and just say, look, this is a person who committed a crime, as I look at it, and should be punished.
Yeah, I think I see what you're asking now. I was a deputy county attorney. I was a civil attorney. I never prosecuted. My chief of staff was a prosecutor in Washington County, and I know his mom listens to your show, so she'll be excited that I mentioned him.
Good.
I think there's room for both. I think we actually have to grapple with both of these problems right now. So there is the reality that a human being's life was just taken in a very public way while he was out, engaging with college students in Utah. That's horrifying, no matter which party you belong to, no matter what your political persuasions are. And we have to, as a society, say that that's unacceptable and we won't tolerate it. But I do think there's also room for the conversation about politics. People get radicalized for political reasons. People get radicalized for religious reasons, and I think we have to talk about all of it. Those are the two things you're not supposed to talk about in polite company, right? Politics, religion, and maybe your football team. Those are the things that people fight over. But I think we've got to start talking about politics, religion, and even whether you're a BYU fan or a U fan, so that we can all learn to have difficult conversations without sacrificing the humanity of the people we're having the conversations with. Yeah. There's a time and a place for each. They don't have to both happen at the same time. So in the immediate aftermath of a tragedy like the political assassination of Charlie Kirk, I think the appropriate thing was to talk about toning down the rhetoric and, mourning a human being who had just been murdered. I do think in the aftermath, there's also time to talk about politics and how we vocalize politics, how we engage in politics in person and online to make sure that we are not creating the perfect storm for radicalizing people.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Representative Celeste Malloy, who was there at the Charlie Kirk Memorial in Arizona. Look, the statewide Utah cell phone ban has been in effect for about a month. We want to hear from parents. How do you think it's going? Text us at 57500. It's coming up next, and we're streaming live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
There's no better place to fall in love with fall than Logan, Utah. Honestly, it's kind of hard to imagine fall right now because it's been so blasted hot this summer. But I promise Logan is the place for cooler temperatures and even cooler events. You absolutely have to come to the Center Street Giant Pumpkin Festival September 27th. These ain't your mama's pumpkins, although I don't really know what that means. But anyway, last year, the record-breaking gourd tipped in at over 2,100 pounds. That's more than 3 grand pianos. Professional pumpkin carvers, family scavenger hunt, activities for kids, live music, more than 100 vendors, and fantastic fall fun. Coming up, we've got the American West Heritage Center's Fall Harvest Festival, the North Logan Pumpkin Walk, 2 giant corn mazes that may or may not be haunted, concerts, historic downtown ghost tours, and more. Don't even ask me when the leaves will be turning because at this point, your guess is as good as mine. But it doesn't matter because whenever you come to Logan, it's always beautiful. Visit explorelogan.com to plan your autumn adventures today. explorelogan.com.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Tim Hughes back again with Greg and Mike at Replenish Landscape Garden Products. We've been talking about the long, hot summer. If you're tired of those water bills, and Greg, maybe the plants just haven't done well in certain areas like the turf areas, now's a good time to be thinking about changing that out.
We have a variety of barks and wood mulches here that if you want to take out some of that sod and save on the water bill for the coming year, that's the way to go.
It's the colors and the textures and all the options you have, Mike, that are impressive to me.
Yeah, we have quite a few variety, 4 different colors and then natural barks as well that you could use.
Any design that's going to save you money down the road, beautify those areas for the next growing season, and give you a little peace of mind going into the winter months is happening right now at Replenish Landscape Garden Products. Come and pick it up yourself in bulk or buy it in bag or have it delivered. It's Replenish Landscape Garden Products, 4660 South, 200 West in Murray. Call them at 801-262-5142 or find them online at replenishcompost.com. Replenish. It's good stuff.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
The new Inside Sources.
So it's been a few weeks since Utah kids went back to school, and their cell phones and smartwatches and tablets, in most cases, like, they have to be either put away. So some of them have a bell-to-bell ban. Some of them have just during class. Sometimes it depends on the age of the students. And we are super interested in hearing from our listeners how it's going. One of the things that we asked is for parents to text in 57500, but we also asked on Facebook, and I am telling you, they are chatty on Facebook.
Yeah, before we get to those, this is a bipartisan issue. States from California to Georgia have all joined in on this. There are a total of 35 states, including Utah, that have started new rules this year regarding the use of cell phones. 18 states, including the District of Columbia, ban cell phone use throughout the entire day. Georgia and Florida limit that to K through 8 only. The others are K-12. 7 states, including Utah, ban it just during class time, which means not between classes or lunch, although that may be revisited. So I would think that for the most part, teachers are in favor of this. Kids may be against it. What do parents think?
Well, yeah, and that's what's interesting. So we see a couple of texters who said the cell phone for students is a good start, but it needs to be upheld the same. So this...
And that's in response to how Utah law is actually drafted, because it allows schools and districts to enact
decide
their own policies.
Yeah. So this one, this texter says their kid's junior high still allows them at lunch and in between classes. And but for their 12th grader, they don't allow it at all. There's also another texter who says until teachers enforce it, it won't work. The students are still allowed to use their phones in class because many teachers don't care. And I actually saw several comments on the Facebook question that were very, very similar, who said, look, the teachers are saying, look, I didn't print out assignments, just pull it up on your phone. Well, you can't pull it up on your phone if you have a ban on phones in class.
Right. And you would think always, just from my own law practice and doing juvenile court work, that it all comes down to the parents. But if you're a parent and you've got a child in 10th grade and you're the only one in school that's enforcing a cell phone ban, it's a little awkward.
Well,
so you would hope that the school would do more. And maybe you go to the school and say, hey, I don't want my kid having a cell phone, but if everybody else is using it between class, maybe we ought to be consistent.
Exactly why we got the law. Remember, because there wasn't anything consistent. So this was the quote unquote blanket ban, so that was the starting point, so that people could say, okay, schools and districts could say, hey, like we're going to enforce this. So we have several other comments. My high schooler doesn't love it, but is getting used to it. My junior high kid loves it because she's the only one without a phone. And people actually talk now. The junior high kids have gotten around it by bringing Game Boys and other gaming devices that they use because they're not on phones. So we live down in Alpine School District, and our district policy is anything like unto it. Right? So it's a cell phone, a smart watch, a tablet, a gaming device, anything that can connect to the internet, it's off limits.
We heard that Governor Cox said he's in favor of the ban, but he doesn't think it goes far enough.
Yeah.
He thinks we should join the 18 states that ban it from bell to bell, and not let you have it between classes and during lunch hour. So maybe the legislature, in reviewing exactly what you and I are today, which is public comment and responses from this, because it is the first year, can come back next year and say, look, it's good now, let's make it better.
Yeah.
Make it a little more powerful, and maybe require teachers to do more.
So I guess inconsistent enforcement is one of the issues that we're seeing from our listeners. One person says, I don't think it's effective other than teaching kids to be better at concealing it. And then they say this, take the Charlie Kirk assassination. Most kids had already seen what happened through their phones during school hours. I think that person's not wrong.
Yeah, that's probably true. And, I guess there are some parents who may have kids who are special needs, or kids who are just special needy, and they feel like they should have a phone just so they can contact mom and dad during the day. I don't know. I think it goes both ways. For me, of course, it's easy for me to look back and say, hindsight's 20/20. I wouldn't have wanted my kid to have a cell phone bell to bell. That's what I would have supported at the time.
Right. So we have a texter. I don't know how serious they are. They say they're in class right now and got their phone out because they're bored and started to listen to the radio, and so they're texting in because we asked for comments. So if you're in K through 12, pay attention to your class, okay? Okay, there's another person on Facebook who says, I'm at our local high school a lot. I've noticed a big change. They actually talk to each other. They're more engaged in class. There's still people that try to sneak them out, but for the most part, the students are following this rule. Now, if we could work on the dress code, they say.
I wonder what enforcement authority teachers have. Let's say you cannot have a cell phone in the classroom and you see some kid using it. I mean, we don't want teachers to be police officers.
I know that it varies, and here are some of the things that I've seen. You can take it away as the teacher and keep it as the teacher. You can take it to the front office and make a parent come get it. I've seen that happen. Some places, some of the schools have like pouches or like lockers for the cell phones, so they all have to be deposited in those as they walk into the classroom, and then they can get them when they go out.
So we have some judges that have cell phone
phone policy,
but they have a bailiff. So I've seen judges say, bailiff, go grab that person's cell phone, and it includes people in the audience. It includes lawyers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you make sure that your phone's on vibrate and that you not look at it during court time. For the most part.
Here's another one that said kids at their school put them in a basket and they get them before they leave class. Let's see. Teachers love it. My kid is allowed to have their phone on them during class, but not allowed to take it out during class except in an emergency, but you can take it out during the breaks. I saw somebody else on here, and I've lost in the pile of comments, I've lost the specific one, but they were talking about having a Gab watch. Oh, here it is. I hate that my 6th grader can't wear her Gab watch. It's the kind where you have limited internet access, but you can like text specific contacts like your mom or dad.
Would it be consistent with state law that students can carry their cell phones during class, just not look at it? I thought that there was a...
It depends on the district, but in most, you can't even have them on your person. They have to be in your backpack or like in your cubby or in those holders.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So the one parent that said you can take your
She
phone,
can't wear her watch.
Look at no, the one
Yeah,
before
oh,
that,
yeah.
They had the
Different
cell phone,
school.
but they said that you just can't look at it.
Yeah.
But it can be ringing. I mean, that's going to be hard to enforce because kids are going to look at it anyway during class.
Well, anyway, so those are several of the comments, and some of them are just saying they just use an old phone to put inside the bag. They're trying to game the system. That's what I'm seeing. They put an old phone inside the bag, and then they keep their other phone on them so they can look under the desk or whatever.
You have your burner phone for school.
Phone.
Yeah, there you go.
Have a burner phone for school. We have a couple of people who commented and say, look, the future of this country is cell phones and AI, and we need to stop preventing our kids from being up with the times. So that's not the majority.
Well, AI and cell phones can be different things. You can have your laptop or tablet and access AI, but you don't need to do it on your cell phone if you're texting.
Well, you shouldn't have a laptop or tablet unless you're doing it in classroom work. And then if you're doing in-class work, I think the way most schools at least have it set up in Utah is the teachers can see where you go, so you're not going to access inappropriate content.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a step in the right direction. I'm glad that the early, and we're very early. I mean, school's only been in session for a month. Reports are favorable toward this new law.
Largely.
And maybe taking it a step further and sort of doing the bell-to-bell thing that you talked about. That is, you don't even bring it to school.
Yeah. Another texter said that their youngest graduated last year, and now they're an aide in the school, and different teachers enforce the rule differently. So many teachers let their students pull it out during free time at this particular school. So another one says, if teachers are going to require students to use their phones for schoolwork, then the districts will have to provide them to students whose families can't afford phones for their kids. Now, that is a fair conversation.
Yeah.
We haven't had that one yet.
I wonder about the logistics of it. So if you go to school, I mean, you don't everybody throw their phone in a basket and then hope that you can find it. I mean, there's got to be some individualized.
Everybody identifies their phone in a different way. You have stickers on it. You have those little pop things on the back. You've got your holder. I promise they will have no problem finding their phone.
Okay, that just bothered me. When
or
they
the
say,
touch screen has
leave
a
your
photo of
phone
your
at the
dog.
gate.
Or
Right.
No.
There
Don't
you
you
go.
worry too much about that. I do see a couple on Facebook that say that their schools have not implemented the social media, the phone ban yet, and that they wish that they would actually.
So that seems to be problematic. I mean, as a parent, you might want to call the school or the district and say, "Hey, get your act together," because the legislature is seemingly mandated.
Or call your local school district and see if they decided not to engage. But when I looked at the list before school started in August, every single school district in the state of Utah had some form of ban.
That's what we were told, right?
Yeah.
So if your school's
everyone
not
did.
doing it, they're not following the law. Maybe. When we come back, Utah's signature gathering candidates can use paper or electronics, but not both. But that might be changing. We get into the arguments for the use of electronic signatures and how it could work here in Utah. Representative Jordan Tusher joins us next. Remember, stay with us on KSL News Radio, and you can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Many elected officials are questioning their public safety in the wake of the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. Even Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner tells Inside Sources she too is at risk.
I currently have the status of an at-risk government employee because we had people show up at our home address.
Gardner says she had to move and her new address is now restricted per letter from the county sheriff. However, she says the county clerk is trying to remove her from the restricted list. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is expected to speak about autism today, announcing a link between taking Tylenol while pregnant and autism. Researchers say there are no studies proving the link between the two. ABC's Elizabeth Scholze has more.
Researchers say that the rates of Tylenol use in pregnancy have actually gone down in recent years, even as autism rates have risen amid increased awareness of the disorder and also widening definition of the spectrum. The CDC does say that 1 out of every 31 8-year-olds had autism in 2022. That's compared with 1 out of every 150 children in the year 2000.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says he wants to find a root cause to autism by this month. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 72 points. The S&P is up 27 points. And coming up, sun and highs in the 80s. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have rain moving across portions of Weber and Davis County, and right now it's really affecting the east side of those counties. So you've got a lot of spray kicking up from tires, not only on the city streets, but especially right now, US 89, right around the I-84 area. Once you get into Weber Canyon, though, looks like the roads are dry for now, but again, the rain is moving in that direction. And then you've got some slowdowns on all the roadways where the roads are very, very wet and reduced visibility. Also, if you're on Legacy Parkway in North Salt Lake, there's a vehicle fire. Northbound Legacy, just before you get to the Woods Cross exit, that is still blocking the right lane and shoulder. The flame and smokes are out, but you still have emergency crews on scene. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 73 today and partly sunny skies. We could see scattered storms overnight. And starting Wednesday, it's sunny skies and highs in the 80s. Right now, 66 and partly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Last year's elections here in Utah brought some spotlight, I guess, on Utah's signature gathering process. And there was some concern about how it was done and how it would affect candidates' path to the ballot. That is to say, you can get on the ballot by going through the signature gathering process as opposed to the convention process. Yep. Caused some consternation. We also have seen, with respect to our ballot initiatives, that there's a signature gathering process for that as well. And in the past, you could gather signatures for either of those, either by paper, just going door to door and having somebody sign the paper, the agreement, which I've seen several times, or electronically, but not both. Apparently, that law is about to change.
Well, we have Representative Jordan Tuscher, who's the expert on this, joining us to talk about that. Welcome, Representative.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, can you give us an update on how candidates and or petition gatherers, how they might be able to do both?
Yeah, great question. So when we originally passed the electronic path back in 2022, in working with the clerks and as the system was being developed, they really didn't think that they had a process to be able to accept both the manual paper signature packets and do the electronic path at the same time. So when we met with them last year during the session, they said now that the system's in place, they understand how it works, that they think that they could do both. And so we made that change in House Bill 300 during the session. So one of the things we saw with the electronic path, because it was new, hadn't been done before, when people had to either submit that they were gathering signatures for candidacy or for initiative or a referendum, they had to choose which path. And all of them chose the manual path just because they didn't want to be the first one to try the electronic. So we're really excited that this dual path now exists and that more people will be able to try the electronic path because there's a lot of benefits from it.
So did that require some technological changes because the county clerks were concerned about the electronic path? What has been done to alleviate those fears?
I think that when we passed the bill originally, just not knowing how the system was going to work and how they were going to account for it, there were just too many questions out there that they advised, let's just make people have to choose either manual or electronic. But now that it's out and they are able to gather both, they said it wouldn't be an issue to make that change.
So has anybody done that yet, or are we looking at when candidate filing opens in January?
No one has done it, as far as I understand. The bill went into effect on May 7th, and I don't think there has been an initiative, referendum, or candidate gathering period where someone could try both. So I expect that we'll see a number of people try it once the candidate gathering signature period starts in January. Plus, there's talk of a number of initiatives that different groups are planning on running, and so we'll see if they choose this path as well.
Is signature gathering, Representative Tuscher, here to stay? I mean, is that something that we're going to use? Because I know some people have felt like it wasn't, especially with respect to ballot initiatives, and even candidates getting on the ballot, that it wasn't fair or wasn't right. But do you think that that's going to be a way to candidacy in the future, that's probably not going to change in the near future?
I don't see any path for a change right now. I think there's a lot of passion on both sides of the issues, those that would rather go straight convention only, and those that would like to get rid of the convention process altogether and go all signatures. So, when when this was passed with SB 54, it's been over a decade now, and I think people have gotten used to that path, and I just don't see any strong momentum on either side changing that.
Can I ask you a question about how this might impact rural areas?
Well, one of the big benefits that we see with the electronic path is that you no longer have to print out the packets. And there can be a lot of cost associated with printing out the packet, especially on an initiative or a referendum, because you have to print the entire sections of code that are being changed. And or for a municipal issue, all of the development agreements and plans and everything. And so one of the things that I think you're going to see how it affects rural Utah is that there's more of an opportunity for those that maybe don't have a lot of money to be able to mount a referendum or an initiative, step out and try it, because now there's really no upfront cost for them.
Representative Tusher, what can you tell our listeners about the security? What level of comfort can they have in terms of how we are receiving signatures, that they're legitimate and that there's some oversight to those?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and one of the big benefits to the electronic method. So in the manual method, the gatherers go around, someone signs their signature on a piece of paper, they put their name and their address, and then it goes into a clerk, and a clerk has to find that person, pulls up their signature that they did at the DMV, and everyone knows that that's not the best representation of their signature, and someone's got to make a call. And there was an audit done last year where they looked at this, and they found it was about a 5% error rate where signatures were either being accepted that probably shouldn't have been accepted, or were being rejected when they probably shouldn't have been rejected. And so what this does is it instantly verifies, because with the electronic method, someone pulls out their ID, it scans their driver's license, it pulls that information immediately there, and there's no actual holographic signature that is captured. And so it decreases the work on our clerks because they no longer have to do that verification process. But we have a process in place that ensures that it is actually that person and not someone else because they're using their physical ID.
That actually makes a lot of sense and sounds amazing. Let me just ask you really quickly, is this, are people like using tablets? Is this iPad based? Is it dependent on the type of device, or can it be like on a phone or anything?
Yeah, currently it's browser-based. I know the Division of Technology Services is looking at an app as well to make it a little simpler. But because it's browser-based, it can be used on any type of device, whether it's a mobile phone or a tablet or a computer, as long as you have access to a browser. It could be Android, iOS, Windows. It doesn't matter.
Thank you, Representative. That was Representative Jordan Tusher. And
super interesting.
Yeah, it really was. I just 2 weeks ago purchased a car, and I got the title, and I was able to get a new title without going to DMV, without standing in line. Representative Tusher reminded me how we did it. You scan the title, you scan your driver's license, you send it to DMV, and all of a sudden they send you almost instantly.
Wow.
You don't have to stand in line. It's genius. And it sounds like if they're doing the same thing with these signature gathering, it makes a lot of sense, because you physically have to have your identification with you.
Sure.
I mean, what he says is you scan your driver's license.
Right.
So,
instead of the clerk pulling it up later and
right.
saying, I think it's this person. Look, sometimes I really, really love technology.
Yeah.
It can be so helpful. It's like, oh, this makes so much sense.
I say that starting the show with my computer screen blanking out because I pulled the cord out.
And we love AI and we love to hate AI both. So, but sometimes I really love it. It's really great.
This weekend, there were a couple of really disturbing stories involving teenagers. One involved a 17-year-old being stabbed at home in Spanish Fork. The suspect is supposedly 16 years old, and the other involves a 14-year-old juvenile. We'll talk about those after the break. Remember, we're streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-486-9600. That's 800-486-9600.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but can't because you're in pain? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help you get out of pain.
I just had difficulty walking when I had the pain. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Are you buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let foot, knee, or back pain get in the way of you staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week, pain-free.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Walk-ins are always welcome. Make this the year you get active and healthy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just one day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Inside Sources.
I'm looking at two press releases that came out Saturday, Holly, involving young offenders involved in very, very serious crimes. One of them occurred on September 20th. They both occurred Saturday. One occurred at Spanish Fork High School. Spanish Fork officers responded on I said home, but it's homecoming dance. Altercation took place in the parking lot between two males. One was 17-year-old. He was stabbed by a local juvenile. The 16-year-old is being booked into Slate Canyon Detention Center. That's the juvenile detention center in Utah County on suspicion of aggravated assault. We have more on that from KSL Radio's Brianna Willis.
It was around 9:20 p.m. Saturday night when Spanish Fork police showed up to the Maple Mountain High School. Officers tell KSL TV a fight happened in the east parking lot between several teens, and one was stabbed in the leg. He was taken to the hospital and is expected to recover. A 16-year-old suspect has been arrested and taken to the Slate Canyon Detention Center. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
So that case, Holly, involves a 16-year-old offender involved in a serious crime, a stabbing. The other one's even more disturbing. So this is a press release I'm looking at from Unified Police Department. That's here in Salt Lake County. Same day, September 20th, they responded on a homicide that occurred in Midvale. In this situation, it was late the night before, so it was Friday night, 11 o'clock. Unified officers arrested a 14-year-old male in Midvale in connection with the incident. He was booked in the Salt Lake County Jail on murder charges.
Wow.
The victim has been identified as a 23-year-old from West Valley City. This involved, they first got a call of a traffic accident with injuries. They went there, started life-saving operations, and found that there had actually been a gunshot wound to the victim. The Unified Police Department's violent crimes detectives responded, initiated a homicide investigation. So we've got two cases, a 16-year-old involved in, and they're both presumed innocent, obviously, involved in a stabbing. He's in detention center, and a 14 years old, involved in connection with a suspected murder. He's obviously in the Salt Lake County Juvenile Detention Center. They're both being held in youth detention centers on very serious crimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's super sad, but it's also disturbing. I feel like they're so young. Going to your homecoming dance and you get stabbed, right? But the one who does the stabbing is only 16. First of all, that's going to ruin your homecoming date.
Right. Yes.
Right.
And much more. Yeah. I mean, it's just awful. So, years ago, when I was a prosecuting attorney and I was working on the gang unit, I was Utah's first gang prosecutor in 1992. We formed the gang unit, and we sort of formed the gang operation. And at the time, we recognized, and the Utah legislature was incredibly helpful, and we recognized that there were so many young offenders who were committing these violent crimes, and that the path between juvenile court and adult court was difficult. It was hard to bridge that gap because we've always assumed that, we had historically assumed that there was a fairly clear break. You're 18, you're an adult. Right. You're 17, you're a juvenile. And there was a way to certify a juvenile as an adult, but it was arduous. And the legislature said, look, in light of so many violent crimes, we should make that pathway a little bit easier. And at the time, we enacted a law that was at the time called the Serious Youth Offender Act, and I don't know what they call it now, but it allows for prosecutors on certain circumstances. Now, this doesn't apply to shoplifters or drunk drivers or speeders or something like that. Violent crimes that a person who is of a certain age can be charged and brought into the adult system. And people are concerned about that, understandably so, because we're talking about young offenders. But sometimes the crime is so egregious that the public is saying we shouldn't necessarily be limited to juvenile court, where jurisdiction typically ends at 21. If you can imagine a 16-year-old committing a homicide and the court losing jurisdiction at the age of 21, that means 5 years, which would seem like a fairly short time for something that serious.
Well, so first of all, my first question is there any indication that this is gang related?
No, and it doesn't have to be. But the law was gang related. That's a great question. We don't know that either of these are gang related, and I don't know that the answer to that matters. But the gang issue brought our attention to these younger offenders, because gangs were smart enough to really they were sophisticated enough to say, 16-year-old, you go do the deed
dirty
because
deed.
you're not going to get in trouble.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but so 14-year-old now arrested for investigation of homicide. Is there any indication about what actually happened? Because the story, as I understand it, is responding officers thought they were coming to a traffic thing, and then there's somebody who needs emergency medical attention who ends up passing away right on the scene.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I'm just looking at the press release that Unified issued, and it just I'll just read you the important part. On September 18th at 8:18 p.m., dispatch received a call of a traffic accident with injuries near Jackson Avenue and LaSalle Drive in Midvale. Officers from Unified and personnel from Unified Fire, that means medical personnel, responded immediately. Despite life-saving measures, the individual was pronounced dead. During the investigation, it was discovered that the victim had sustained a gunshot wound. So they went on report of a traffic accident, but while they're treating the victim, they find a gunshot wound. Then a few hours later, they arrest a 14-year-old kid in Midvale in connection with this, and he's booked into the Salt Lake County Juvenile Detention Center.
It looks like it was the next day. But
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So as a 14-year-old in general, so let's say not this case specifically, but in general, he or she, if it were a she, could be tried as an adult because there's a murder investigation.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult path than the 16, 17-year-old. So when I talked about the Serious Youth Offender Act,
Sure.
it allows a fairly straightforward path for 16 or 17-year-olds if the crime is serious. But you can get down to the 14 and 15-year-olds. Now, 13-year-olds, we're not even having the conversation.
Really?
You can't bring them into the adult system, in my opinion, unless something's changed, under any circumstance. But even the 14, 15-year-old, and and prosecutors, I think, to their credit, are really reluctant to charge kids at that age. And so what it provides is that a 14 or 15-year-old who commits an offense, which would be a aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, or murder. I mean, these are the most serious crimes, which is alleged here.
Right.
So if it's a 14 or 15-year-old, it has to be murder, and then they can be brought into the adult system. The 16 and 17-year-old, the list of crimes is much broader, but they're violent crimes. We used to call it the 9 deadly sins, but they were it looks like they've expanded a little bit since my gang days. But murder, aggravated assault, certain sex crimes, burglary, those type of things.
Yeah. So you said something that I found intriguing. So even if a 12 or 13-year-old kills somebody and they do it deliberately, they will be tried as a juvenile. They will not be brought into the adult system.
Correct.
Okay.
There's no pathway currently under Utah law to bring a person under the age of 14 into the adult system. Now, somebody's going to text me and say you're wrong, but I don't think I am, and I'm actually looking at the law here, and it's fairly clear. Even the 14, 15-year-olds, that's a tough one. We really don't want to have a 14-year-old charged with a crime that's going to affect them for life. Because once a kid is brought into the adult system, Holly, it's on their record. Juvenile courts they're different, and they're not.
Things are wiped at 18, right?
Well, kind of, but
Not
they're not really ever on your record in the sense that you can check somebody's record as easily. Juvenile records are more confidential.
Right.
And people think, well, once I turn 18, my juvenile record disappears. Absolutely untrue.
Okay.
It's still out there. I mean, you can do an expungement or something like that, and it can be accessed. Like, let's say you want to get a job in law enforcement, and you have a juvenile record. They're going to find it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you
sure.
go work for the FBI or something
Sure.
like that. They're going to find your juvenile record. Certain other agencies can as well. We do expungements for juveniles, and the legislature has been good about that too, recognizing. Boy, you make a mistake when you're 14, and then all of a sudden you're 18, you want to go to college, serve your church, serve your country. You shouldn't have that hanging over your head.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense to me. Okay, what else should we know about these two cases?
Well, they're brand new. They're still pending, and both of these individuals are in the youth detention centers. In other words, neither are in jail, because people say, well, if he's tried as an adult, should he, I assume they're both males, should be held in an adult facility? That can happen at a later time. With a 14-year-old, it's unlikely to occur unless he certifies an adult and is sentenced to some prison or something. And even then, they may hold him in the juvenile detention facility until he reaches 18 and then transfer him.
So another quick question, because we're almost out of time. Do they still have like the 72 business hours to face charges at this point?
Yeah, that's rules that apply to the adult system. So as a practical matter, the prosecuting attorney's not going to hold him in juvenile detention longer than that anyway, and they happen over the weekend or maybe even Thursday or Friday. So I assume the charges will be brought on both of those this week. Then they'll charge it in the juvenile court and then bring it through to a juvenile court judge, and then that judge will make the determination as to whether it can go into the adult court. There are certain crimes that you can direct file into the adult court. Neither of these apply, as I understand it, because a 16-year-old is not charged with a serious enough crime, and the 14-year-old is 14.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks for educating us. I appreciate that. Now, you've probably heard of the Nobel Prize, right?
Yes.
But have you heard of the Ig Nobel Prize?
No, but it sounds interesting.
This year's prizes included one on painting zebra stripes on cows to see if it would reduce insect bites. There's really some funny stories we're going to talk about when we come back.
.30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top local story this hour. More than half of Utahns say they don't feel safe attending political events anymore following the murder of Charlie Kirk. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
That's according to results from a new Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics poll. After Charlie Kirk's murder, they surveyed just over 500 Utah adults and asked if they felt safe attending political events or rallies in the United States. 62% said they either don't feel very safe or don't feel safe at all. More than half of those polled also said they are now less likely to attend political events.
The majority of Utahns also said they're concerned about things like civil unrest, gun violence, and threats to freedom of speech. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the new COVID vaccine will be available through some insurance companies.
The trade group America's Health Insurance Plan says the vaccine will be covered at no cost to patients through 2026. That group includes every major insurer except United Healthcare. CVS says their pharmacies are stocked with the vaccines, and they are now able to deliver vaccinations in all 50 states and D.C. Prescriptions are required in D.C. and some states, including Florida and Georgia. Walgreens also requires prescriptions in a few states. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Utah has confirmed its 34th case of the measles so far this year. The latest is in Cache County. The Bear River Health Department says the patient was not vaccinated. They're currently working to do some contact tracing. Your money at this moment: the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all up about a 0.5 percentage point at this hour. Coming up, it's going to be cooler today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Tonight on KSL.
I'm going to buy pizza for 30 kids, and then a bunch of parents will shoot me a Venmo.
When do those quick app payments from friends become taxable?
I think that there is reason to be concerned.
KSL investigates how the rules have changed, and now transferring just $600 a year could mean having to deal with the IRS.
How quickly do you think you would reach that $600 limit?
I could in a month.
Payment apps taxing transactions. Tonight at 10 on KSL and the KSL Plus app.
Cooler weather. What a relief, unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill is going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have some wet roads, could be affecting the drive. A lot of problems out there. One crash has literally just cleared southbound I-15 Hillfield Road in Layton. It's out of traffic, but there's water on the freeway there. An accident westbound I-84 in Mountain Green in Morgan County. That's been affecting the right lane of travel. Northbound Legacy Parkway, a vehicle fire. They've opened up that right lane, but traffic's still avoiding it, where we have crews on the scene northbound Legacy at about 9th North in North Salt Lake. And then we had an accident westbound SR 193 at Center Street in Clearfield, blocking a right lane. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're going to have a chance for some showers and storms to continue here through the midday hours. Then it becomes partly sunny with a high of 73. Another chance for some showers overnight and into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's high, 74. Right now, you've got partly cloudy and 62 in Ogden. Mostly cloudy, 66 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Okay, so we've always heard of the Nobel Prize, but there's apparently the Ig Nobel Prize, and I hadn't heard of it, and it didn't make sense until I said it all at once.
I know.
The Ig Nobel Prize. Well, it's awarded to the world's brightest and quirkiest scientific minds, recognizing them for their endeavors, according to the Washington Post. The awards serve as a light counterpoint to the Nobel Prizes, the world's renowned accolade in memory of Swedish inventor Alfred Nobel. And actually, the awards are presented by actual Nobel laureates.
I know, it's it's kind of funny, right? So they're supposed to make you laugh and then make you think, and it's not like they come with a big money prize or anything. This year they got a handmade model of a human stomach and a single hand wipe.
Well,
that was their prize.
The reason is because, well, first of all, the tradition's always held in a venue where the audience throws paper airplanes on the stage. This year's theme was digestion. So that's why you had what you want.
Stomach.
And so they actually had a mini opera called The Plight of the Gastroenterologist. So, and digestion was this year's theme. So yeah, but there were some awards given that, I don't know. There was one you mentioned, painting stripes on cows.
I know.
Does that prevent flies? And because they're thinking, how do zebras exist in the wild? And did the stripes actually? To me, that one makes a little bit of sense. Did the stripes actually deter the flies? I don't know what the finding was.
Because, I don't either. I tried to figure it out.
Yeah, because if you paint white stripes on your cattle, are they less likely to be attacked by flies?
Oh yeah. Okay. That is what they found. They were less likely to be attacked by flies. They admitted it might be a challenge to apply this approach on a large scale, but at the awards ceremony, the team was pelted with cardboard flies that they had thrown at them. Look, it might sound really funny, but it can be serious research. They had multiple categories, and not everybody could travel, and some of it had to do with the current ongoing situation right now that we had. But I thought this one was really interesting and kind of funny, that they had in 2013 a team of research psychologist who had been having a drink in Vienna in a pub, and they agreed that they were better at speaking foreign languages after a drink, right? It's like maybe was it the alcohol speaking or whatever, right?
You thought you were better. Right.
Yeah, you thought you were better. Well,
Right.
they decided to actually investigate it, and they found out that that was actually correct. People spoke a foreign language better after they had had a little bit to drink.
I would think it would be the exact opposite. But yeah, if that's what they found. So that's what started the Ig Nobel Prize?
No, it's not what started it, but they were award winners this year, and they didn't feel like they could travel from Europe right now to receive the award, so that part was sad. But
Which is probably not much of an award. There was one involving...
It was a stomach. They could have gotten the stomach.
Oh.
That's the award this year.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to travel from
Vienna
to Washington for a stomach. There was one involving a lizard. What kind of pizza do lizards prefer?
Isn't that so funny? So, yeah, it's funny, but it actually was true that they looked at the physics of pasta sauce, and the goal was to figure out how to prevent a certain type of sauce from clumping. So you have to add starch, right, to thicken it up with cheese. And what they found, you need 5 grams of starch to 200 grams of cheese. That's a lot of cheese, by the way. And they let rainbow lizards test it out, and that's what they found.
So you know what I'm thinking is that some of these were probably started as legitimate, well, using that word loosely, like somebody really thought, I want to see if stripes keep flies off because
zebras don't seem to be bothered by flies as much.
And let's do it. And then the Nobel people are like, are you kidding me?
Like that's
that doesn't seem like a legitimate concern. And so what started as a legitimate investigation turned into kind of a joke.
It's a little bit of a joke, but it also can be serious research, right? And a lot of it can be like, what can you take from this? What can you learn from this? So here's one thing that's interesting, and I don't know if we want to encourage this behavior. So there was a prize in psychology, and it went to researchers who looked at what happened when you tell a narcissist that they're smart. What do you think happened? They got more narcissistic.
Yeah, I was going to say, they agree.
So
they agree with you.
They agreed. And so I don't know that we want to encourage that. But there was also one who looked at the link between using your smartphone on the toilet and developing hemorrhoids. Okay,
here's one. Speaking of length, they gave one to William Bean for his work in recording the growth of one fingernail over a period of 35 years.
Wow.
He kept one fingernail for 35 years and recorded its growth.
Wow. Okay. I think some criticism is fair.
Yes.
So they also looked at people who they experimented with eating Teflon to find out whether it could be used to boost food volume and making you feel full without adding extra calories.
I heard that Teflon had some other properties that you don't want to eat. Right.
I mean, Teflon comes from the bottoms of your pans. So there's one that I heard of when I was practicing as a midwife, and this was actually research from the 1990s. But moms who eat garlic while they're breastfeeding, the babies like that milk a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. They love the flavor of garlic. They don't love the flavor of lactic acid. So if you're going to nurse your baby before or around exercise, do it before, not after. And do it after eating your heavy garlic meal.
This was a legitimate thing, and some of these, what must have been just fun to go to the event and see who was winning some of these things.
I know, and again, like we said, some people felt like they couldn't go, they couldn't show up. There was an Indian industrial designer. So there was an engineering prize as part of this too. He created shoe racks that can minimize the stinky smell, but because of the political detente stuff that's going on right now between the United States and India. Plus, now you need an 8-month lead time, and he didn't have enough lead time, but he didn't come to the award ceremony. But he created a shoe rack that would take care of the stinky smell.
Interrupt the Ig Nobel Prize. I mean, there should be an exemption.
No,
there should be the political exemption that you can travel if you're coming to get your Ig Nobel Prize. It's fun. I mean, I'm glad that the Nobel people have a sense of humor, and it's an incredible sense of humor to do something like this, because, the Nobel Prize seems like one of the highest honors a person can get, and it takes, years of training, and you develop some cure for cancer or the artificial heart or something. But it's also fun for people that learn something that you would absolutely not expect.
Yeah, and again, you can have this research that has additional applications. So we had a son who went during his teenage years. I would have loved a shoe rack that took care of the stinky smell. His shoes were so bad, I had to make him take them off and leave them outside. They were so bad. Now that he's in his mid-20s, they're not nearly as bad. But I am telling you, I do not know what was up with that kid. But as a teenager, it was toxic fumes in our house.
So my shoes, I put these cedar inserts. I wonder if it does the same thing. The shoe.
Maybe.
I never thought about that.
But I'm telling you, it would not have touched a teenage boy's shoes.
Hey, do you know what today is? It's the first day of
my favorite season.
Fall, yes.
Yay.
First day of fall, September 22nd. In fact, the fall officially kicks off right after our show ends.
I know. It's like 12/11.
We're going to talk about that and what's to be expected about fall season this year when we come back next.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Since 2003, the Clark Planetarium has sparked curiosity and a love of learning about space and science. Through immersive theaters, a variety of exhibits, and engaging programs, it invites visitors of all ages to explore and better understand the universe. Director Duke Johnson joins us with more.
At Clark Planetarium, we believe the universe belongs to everyone. That's why we open our doors wide with free exhibits, affordable dome and IMAX shows, and hands-on experiences that welcome every curious mind. We've seen the magic that happens when a child holds a moon rock or watches Saturn's rings appear through a telescope for the first time. It's the moment where learning becomes a passion. Memberships help make moments like that possible. Our work stretches far beyond our walls, partnering with schools, community groups, and neighborhoods to bring science into daily life. Because science isn't just about stars and planets, it's about problem solving, creativity, and understanding the world around us. The planetarium is a gathering place for inspiration and connection. When you become a member, you help to keep science accessible for everyone, while enjoying special opportunities to explore even more of the universe with us.
To check out current exhibits and upcoming events, visit saltlakecounty.gov/Clark-Planetarium. Explore membership options to enjoy exclusive perks while helping inspire curiosity and lifelong learning about space and science in our community. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
And expanded Inside Sources.
After a hot and dry summer, Holly, it is finally fall. Today kicks off the first day of fall, which means our day and nighttime are exactly the same length. So for this weekend, we went out, and I'll just tell you, we got up in the hills between Eden and Avon. It's a back road toward Logan, and just went out and enjoyed the colors. They were starting to change. I think a week or two from now it'll be even better, but it was just beautiful. I mean, it's really, Utah in the fall is, like you said, isn't your favorite season?
Fall is my favorite.
It's a beautiful season.
Oh, yeah. Fall is my favorite season for a number of reasons, and not the least of which it's no longer summer.
Right.
Right. It's one of my favorites. So, yeah, I can see up the mountains from my house just the color. And at the very top of one of the mountains, we can see Mount Timpanogos from my house. They've got a whole ridge of like the golden aspen that have changed colors. Just really beautiful. And, you know, KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson posted on social media, and he had some gorgeous pictures of trees up the mountains right now. He also told us what we can expect more as we move into fall.
Yes, folks, it is true. Today is the first day of fall, also known as fall equinox. Equinox meaning equal day and equal night. After this mark, after today, we start to lose sunlight ever so slowly. Tomorrow or the next day, we'll lose about a second worth of daylight. Then we'll go to a minute, then 2 minutes at a time. And before you know it, we will be to the solstice, winter solstice, which is the shortest day of the year, sometime around December 21st. With it being the first day of fall, it begs the question, well, where are the fall colors? Right now, we're looking at some pretty good color up on the mountaintops. That'll then transition to the valleys as we get closer to mid and late October. But if you're looking to see the fall colors, these next 2 weeks are going to be prime time color in the Utah mountains. That includes northern, central, and southern Utah. Generally speaking, the turning of the colors is about the same timing throughout the entire state, up above about 6,000 feet. Generally speaking, the timing of the fall colors this year is right on par with what we were thinking. Peak color late September and early October. Sometimes, depending on how the weather pans out, we may see some of these colors in the mountaintops persist into the second week of October. Looking at the fall forecast, hey, not too bad. We've got equal chances to see the precip that we expect this time of year, so near normal precip. And as far as temperatures are concerned, though, we are going to be warmer than normal this fall. So peering into that lucky 8-ball or that crystal ball, it does look like we can hopefully have some good color, some decent storms, and temperatures are going to be riding above normal, though, as we head through the next 3 months.
A little bit above normal temperature isn't bad. As long as we get at least average rainfall. We need some moisture. What's
some of your favorite things to do in the fall? Just ride up in the mountains, or do you have other things you like to do?
Oh yeah, well, I have a motorcycle, and there's no better time to ride a motorcycle up the hills than in the fall. I mean, it's just on the road and just going up there. So I really enjoy that. I don't hunt anymore, but when I was a kid, with my father, we would always go hunting, and I always think about that. I see the hunters, and it just reminds me. I know it's not my favorite thing anymore, but it would be. Yeah. I mean, it was always something that was really precious to me.
Yeah, you know, we have a bunch of family traditions in our family, and we change decorations for the season. So I already have my fall stuff up. I did it as soon as basically Labor Day was over, and we went from sunflowers to fall leaves, even though the leaves hadn't started to turn. But a lot of our traditions go around Halloween, and we always do a family party, and we don't do anything that's super spooky. We do like donuts on a string and bobbing for apples, and we make homemade root beer, those types of things. But we can not me, but there are even Hollywood has been turning away from superheroes and turning more towards
the spooky season.
Spooky.
This is the theme from The Exorcist. A week or so ago, we talked about our most scary movie we ever saw. This was mine, The Exorcist. Don't recommend it at home. Don't watch this movie. But it is the start of the spooky season, and you probably have your own share of Halloween decor and things that you put up. Well, I know we do.
We do, and I don't do super spooky, but horror movies are killing it at the box office this year.
Superheroes move over. The ghouls, monsters, and vampires are slashing their way through the box office this year. It's been a record-shattering year for horror films, proving that in 2025, fright sells. Take director Jordan Peele's latest release, Him, the story of a hotshot quarterback whose fame hides a chilling secret.
In this game, violence is rewarded.
Critics say it's set to pull in more ticket sales than his earlier blockbusters Get Out, Us, and Nope. It's on the heels of Michael B. Jordan's gothic vampire epic Sinners, set in 1930s Mississippi, which has already sunk its teeth into more than $278 million domestically.
No magic. Just power.
And look, they're not alone. From Weapons, Final Destination Bloodlines, and 28 years later, audiences just can't look away.
Horror movies have gone through a great resurgence at the box office in the post-pandemic era. The big factor on why I think horror movies have worked so well at the box office after 2020 is because they're part of an experience, a communal environment where you don't know what to expect next.
And the numbers back it up. Nearly a third of this year's top 15 films in North America are horror titles. And with Hollywood projected to rake in billions more in the genre this year, it's clear horror is no longer lurking in the shadows. It's taking center stage.
Did I hear the line, gang violence has its rewards or something?
Violence.
Good heavens.
Look, my About My Speed is like the Disney Halloween movies. So Hocus Pocus, you've got the Nightmare Before Christmas. That's about as spooky as I get. I just don't like horror. I don't even like to be scared.
Utah is known for two things during the Halloween season. One, the haunted houses.
Yes, which I never go to.
Right. I mean, but when you were... We used to go when I was like high school, college age.
Yeah.
Because it was fun to go on
it.
a sort of semi-date. And the other, which I never did until I was an adult, are the corn mazes.
Yeah, those are fun.
Those are a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you get lost, take the kids.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah.
That is fun. So we have a few more fun facts of the day, but I have to tell you this thing posted this morning by the Springville Police Department. So they're looking for somebody. They're looking for a guy. And this is on their Facebook page, Springville Police Department. And this is what they say. Howdy, junior detectives. And they have a photo. It's Medellin Monday. On September 9th at about 1 a.m., we had a bearded man who decided to take the phrase, make yourself at home, a little too literally, and entered a residence that shockingly was not his. And then they do this for the description. Bald head so shiny, we almost tracked him with solar panels. Beard thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Facial hair, 10 out of 10, but decision-making, 0 out of 10. Right? And so they're saying if you recognize him, call it in.
You got to have fun.
Yeah, they're out there saying, hey, if you recognize this guy or you know a beard that matches this description, please contact the Springville Police Department.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so today, in addition to the fall equinox, it's also National Family Day, so that's fun. And on this day in 1888, the National Geographic published its first issue. So those yellow magazines, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
We all had for years and years and years.
Years and years and years. And so I ended up signing up for National Geographic, the channel, and a magazine comes with it. And so I'm still getting them. And we had them forever. And then
Do they still publish it?
Yeah.
The yellow magazine?
They do.
Oh.
They do. And I have donated so many to Deseret Industries.
Yeah.
But the stories, like, it's just so interesting. It's their photography is just gorgeous.
Oh, the cover is always something else.
Yeah, something. And I have a daughter. This is no longer her dream, but she had a dream to be a National Geographic wildlife photographer. That was her dream, and it has shifted now. But for a long time, when she was younger, that was what she wanted to grow up and do.
Yeah, National Geographic. I'd forgotten. Does it come monthly?
Yeah, I think it's once a month.
It's
once a month.
Fun.
So the other thing is, it's the first it's International Hobbit Day today, and the reason we have that. So The Hobbit is from the Lord of the Rings, written by J.R.R. Tolkien, and the September 22nd. Was the birthday of Bilbo and Frodo Baggins. So they are, of course, the two big Hobbit characters. There's more. Samwise Gamgee is also a Hobbit. But this is a quote that I did today from Frodo. "It is useless to meet revenge with revenge. It will heal noathing." That's from Return of the King.
How topical. You would know the Hobbits.
I love
have
them.
no clue about what that is or what it's about, but today is the birthday of
Frodo Baggins and Bilbo Baggins. So
they're twins?
Happy birthday! No, it's an uncle.
Oh,
it's an uncle and a nephew.
They share the same birthday.
But anyway, Frodo, don't meet revenge with revenge.
There you go. That's perfect for today. Well, Utah Valley University is now launching review of their safety practices after the murder of political activist Charlie Kirk on campus. Midday with Maria Shileos is up next with the details. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon. This is Midday. I'm Maria Shileos. KSL's top story this hour. Utah Valley University is now launching a review of their safety practices after the murder of political activist Charlie Kirk. We begin our team coverage on the aftermath of the murder of Charlie Kirk with KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson.
UVU says they've initiated a comprehensive independent review with an outside organization. Previously, the university has said there were 6 officers monitoring Charlie Kirk's speaking event the day he was shot, as well as Kirk's security team and some officers in plain clothes. However, bags weren't checked and neither were rooftops. In a statement today, UVU's president, Astrid Tuminez, says they believe a review of this targeted act of violence will offer valuable insights on how college campuses can improve their responses and preparedness going forward. She says they'll use any findings to strengthen their current safety practices at UVU and hopefully throughout all of Utah higher education. The university says they're also forming a committee that will help